So actually, for you to succeed in your exam, you require positivity, preparation, and practice. You need to be positive about it. Know that you can pass, of course, definitely. So don't see yourself as maybe there is a limitation. And IELTS, even stammerers, they do pass IELTS. Yes. So why won't you pass? So you have to be really positive. Like I said, it's not testing your whether you know English, like whether you know a particular English what is it called, context. Maybe do you know what ecosystem is all about? No, it's not asking you. It's not know what it's asking you. It's just your ability to read information, understand information, extract something from the information, write it out to be when, so that when someone is reading it, it flows well. The person understands every bit of it. That's mostly. So you have to be positive. Definitely, if you can speak English, definitely you will be able to conquer all aspects of IELTS. You just need a little preparation. Not little though, but you with your concentration is going to be just a little. Okay, so you need to prepare. Yes, you have to prepare. So because I said it's something you can do, it shouldn't make you to go and relax, because there are things that you expected to do. Okay, you know, just like when you are scolding your child, there is something you expected. Maybe you want them to say, I'm sorry mommy, I can't do it again. There is an expectation that you have. Okay, but they don't know. Most times they'll feel you want them to be quiet. They will feel, and sometimes you're expecting them to be quiet when you're scolding them, but they wouldn't know. They might think you want them to be crying, you want them to be jumping around. No, so that expectation is what we are going to be talking about. Those things they expect you to do, those things they expect you to be able to give out, for them to say, okay, yes, you can communicate, you can speak well, you can hear us, you can write very well, you understand. So that expectation is what we are going to really take for you, explain all that for you. And then you need to practice. Okay, so there are some mistakes that people make that you don't know. Sometimes you think we've done the lesson, I understand every bit of it, but by the time you start writing, there are some mistakes that you did not know, that you didn't really understand. So by the time you practice, we'll be able to pick out, oh, this is actually wrong. Look at how you'd have done it to be better. Okay, so that is just it. You really need to practice. And when we say practice, make our time to practice. Even if we didn't vet it immediately, just keep practicing. See it as you're giving us work. Keep practicing. By the time we vet, definitely you know how you've progressed all this work. But definitely we'll always vet your work. We'll always go through your work. So practice, as like the popular saying, practice makes perfect. So you have to practice to be perfect. So the IELTS General Tax 1 measures your ability to communicate about common practical issues. Okay, it is common practical issues, your ability to communicate well. Okay, that's what it's assessing. So you have 20 minutes to respond to a question prompt. When we say question prompts, just like things is highlights, will I say bullet points, more like bullet points of what I want you to do. So you have 20 minutes to respond to this question prompts by writing a letter to a person, company, or institution. Your response worth about 30% of your writing score and is graded separately from your tax 2 essay. Yes, for your grading. This particular essay is worth 30%. Okay, that means the tax 2 is about twice the score, even more, for this writing aspects, writing module. So this one is graded differently. That means if you're getting a band 7 in writing tax 1, and then you're getting a band 6.5 in writing tax 2, by the time they combine it, you will be having band I think average of that will be band 7. Because sometimes is a particular score that is bringing you down. Okay, so you just have to, for you to have band, you have to work hard to get at least a good band in writing, a band in tax 2 and tax 1. So by the time they combine it, you're going to get a good score. So there is none you have to give up for the other, but still have it in mind that the other one have a bigger mark to offer. You understand? A bigger mark to offer. Task 2 have a bigger mark to offer. So the information below includes test taking tips, strategies, expressions, sample questions, model letter, and references. If it can help you get the highest possible score on your IELTS writing section of the IELTS. In the letter writing section of your IELTS, use it regularly to keep track of your progress. All the best. So yes, tip for IELTS General Task 1. The first thing you have to always do when you're given a letter to write is to identify the letter type, the type of the letter, okay, that you're being asked to write. Know if it is formal, semi-formal, and informal. You know that the way you communicate in a formal way, your tone and everything, the way you suggest it on your writing is far different from the way you write an informal letter. There are a lot of things that are not accepted in formal letter that you can do in informal letter. Things like exclamation, or when you're talking to your boss, you don't use exclamation, because that exclamation suggests that you're shouting. You understand? Question mark is another thing you don't use in a formal writing. Are you asking your boss question in a letter? No. So those things are some of the norms. Another thing is your choice of words. Okay, so there are words that are absolutely informal. There are words that are formal. So there are words you're expected to use. Instead of saying buy, you say purchase. Instead of saying can, you say could. Instead of saying will, you say would. So there are more formal words. Instead of saying reply, you say response. So there are formal words you use for formal writing. So you identify the kind of letter you're writing is very important, okay, for you to communicate in the right tone, in the right way. So, remember, this is checking your ability to communicate a common thing the right way, okay? So you have to know the kind of letter. Then the next thing is step 2 will help you recognize each type of letter. So how to identify the each type of letter. Formal letter is usually someone you don't know. You could say write a letter of application. You don't know who you're applying to. You've not met the person before. Write a letter to somebody, maybe a place you bought something and it got spoiled. Write a letter to their manager. You don't know who their manager is. You understand? So that is a formal letter. Then semi-formal letter could be someone at least you know the surname. We're going to all look at all this. Probably you know the surname or you know the first name of this person. At least you have a little idea of this person. Then informal letter is someone you totally don't know. It's someone that is maybe your friend or your really close relative, somebody that you're so used to, you're so friendly with. So you know this person, you know everything in total. You know the first name, middle name, last name. You even have a nickname for this person. So that is informal letter. So now for formal letter, you can be asked, usually letters that suggest that this is a formal letter. Maybe if you are asked to request information from a company, that's the letter of request. Another letter is semi-formal letter is another letter in formal letter is applying for a job. I just said that. Then another one is complaining to a bank, a store, airline. Okay. Products and services. Maybe if you're replying for a product and services, making a recommendation, suggestions, they are all formal letter, because most times the person you're writing to, you don't really know this person. Then semi-formal letter is maybe you're complaining to your landlord, complaining to a neighbor, asking a professor for permission. At least you know these people. Then informal letter on its own is maybe you're inviting someone you know well, thanking a friend, apologizing, asking for advice. Okay. So for you to do this, to identify, you can decide to read a lot of questions and start identifying, okay, this one is formal, this one is informal. Yes, but by the time you read a sample question, definitely you should be able to know, okay, I don't know who I'm writing this letter to. They didn't say it should be my friend, because my friend, I know my friend. They didn't say it should be my neighbor, because at least I know my neighbor. Even though we are not friends, I'm going to be writing in a semi-formal tone. And we're not really friends, but at least I know his or her surname. But writing a letter to someone I don't know, maybe I'm applying to job, I don't know if it's going to be a sir or ma that will be receiving my letter. You understand? So you, at least that should give you a clue that this is a formal letter. So open and close the letter correctly. So yes, in IELTS, let me just say this: in IELTS writing, you don't need to start writing address of the receiver, address of the addressee, please, address of the addressee and the addresser, please. It's not necessary. You can start with dear sir or ma, dear John, dear Kemi. Okay, you can start like that. Okay, you don't need to start writing addresses. So now for formal style, the characteristics is maybe to someone you have not met, whose name you don't know, like I said. So when you're opening a letter you're writing this letter, and from the instruction, you don't know this person, you have to start by saying dear sir or ma. Sir or ma is because you don't know whether it's a man or a woman that the letter will land to. You don't know who is receiving this letter, who is at the top. You don't know who the boss is. You don't know if it's a male or a female. So you're starting with dear sir or madam. Then you put your comma. Please, your punctuation is very important, because I have the marking criteria. Remember, one of the things they are marking, they are checking from your work is your punctuation. So it's very important that you make you put your comma after your dear sir or madam. And please, there is not semicolon, because a lot of people make mistake with semicolon. Semicolon shouldn't even be in a formal writing, because it's still the same thing. It's almost the same thing with full stop. Okay, so it's, but some people mistake semicolon with colon. Please, it's not the same thing. Then when you're ending a formal letter, you end it with yours faithfully, please, and then you put a comma too after the faithfully. Okay. Then semi-formal letter is to someone you may or may not have met, whose last name you know. You may or may not have met your landlord, but at least you know that my landlord is Mr. Agbo. At least you know the last name. You know that Agbo is his name. So you at least know something. You know he's a man. You know he's a woman. You know at least his surname. Okay? You may or may not have met this person, but at least you know the surname. Then the surname is the same thing as last name, please. This is an international class, so when I say last name is the same thing as surname. Okay, it's still going to help you. Your surname that you put first is not actually supposed to be first. It's supposed to be after your name. Should be the last name, because internationally that's how it's written. First name is your English name, middle name is your native name, last name is your surname. That's how you should be writing your this thing, because you're not international people, though. All right, so that's just by the way. So how do you end a semi-formal letter? You end it by saying yours sincerely. Yours sincerely is how you end it. By the time you're done writing, yours sincerely is how you end it. Yours sincerely, of course, you write your name below that. Then informal letter is to someone you know well, whose first name you know and use. You know this person well. You know the first name and you use this first name. Okay? So you can just write dear, and I didn't make emphasis on this. On semi-format, please, dear Mr. Because you can't just call your landlord dear Brown, dear Agbo. No, you should apply a little courtesy. Dear Mr. Because you know the sex, you know he's a man. Dear Mr. Brown, then you put a comma. Then informal letter, of course, like it's said here, is someone you know well, whose first name you know, and you use the phone name. You're used to calling your husband dear John, you maybe that's what you call your husband, or you call your friend Kemi, dear Kemi, or you call your spouse, your wife or your husband. You know that just that's what you're used to. That's what you call this person. So you use that thing you call the person. If you call your friend maybe it's a nickname, it's allowed. This is whatever you know you call this person is allowed. You can decide to use that as long as that's what you use. That's what you call the person. Okay. Then ending, you can end it by saying best regards, one wish it, and all the rest. Some people even go as far as saying love. So if for informal letter is more like a cruise, because you can catch a little cruise though, so you can be quite friendly, just like. And one thing about this is because some people usually misunderstand this, what they are checking in all this context is how you communicate, and they want you to be as natural as possible. So you know how you could communicate to your friend, you have to be as natural as possible. You know how you could communicate to a boss, have to be as natural as possible. So one good way, I've shared this the last time, one good way to be yourself is think maybe I'm just doing that normally. I'm not in an exam hall. Don't see yourself in an exam hall, because once you see yourself in an exam hall, you'll be forced to try to sound formal when you're supposed to be informal. You'll be trying to sound a little different. You understand? Where you're supposed to be free and communicate just like you would communicate in that scenario. So try to see yourself, think about yourself, talking to your best friend. Think about a friend you know. Oh, my best friend is Ayo. Let me just see as if I'm writing to Ayo. Have Ayo in your mind by the time you're writing informal letter. You see, you'll be able to meet all the things that are expected from you. Okay, so start the letter appropriately. That's the next thing. You have to start the letter appropriately. Open a formal and semi-formal letter with formal sentence and paragraph. Okay. So get down to business and say why you're writing. Don't try to be friendly as you do not know the person you're writing to. So please, in semi-formal and formal letter, you're meant to go to. You don't have to start saying, how are you and your family? Greetings, sir. How are you and your family? No, your greetings, your salutations are not needed in formal or informal letter. You're meant to, if it's a letter of inquiry, I am writing to inquire. If it's a letter of request, I am writing to request. If it's a letter of suggestion, I am writing to suggest. So you're not expected to start making being friendly. Some people see it as they are trying to be polite, but it's not necessary. Please, it is not necessary. You will be polite with your choice of words, but not with salutation. That's not part of formal or semi-formal letter. Okay, so formal letter, how do you start it? Like, we know this person is someone we don't know, so you have to start with dear sir or madam, comma, then you say, I am writing to inquire about, just go straight to the point. Okay, that's why you know that first thing you're expected to know is the kind of letter. So we know it's an inquiry letter. That's why you're saying, I am writing to inquire about, then you say. If it's maybe writing in connection with something, maybe in connection with the theft that happened, so just go straight to the point. Then for semi-formal letter, of course, you know this person's last name, and of course, you know this person's gender. You know that this is Mr. or this is Madam or Mrs. or Miss or Master. At least you know this person's gender. So you can go straight to say, dear Mr. Johnson, comma, then I'm writing to inform. Remember, you're also using informal. I think the major difference between formal and semi-formal letter is that in semi-formal letter, you know this person. At least you know, or you may or may not know this person, but at least you have an idea of the sex and you have an idea of the name. Either of them most times. It could be that you have an idea of the sex, or you have an idea of the, let me give you a scenario. Let's say you are writing to your boss. Okay, most times people know the name of their boss. Most times you might not know the name of your boss, but you shall know that your boss is a male. Okay, you can write dear sir, you know he's a male. Okay, It could be that you're writing, maybe you're studying in a school and you know that the vice chancellor is a woman, but you've not met her, you don't know her name, and you're meant to write a letter to your vice chancellor. You can write, "Dear Madam," okay, you know is a female, okay, so you have an idea of this person. But in total formal is like you don't know if it's a man or a woman. You don't even know who you're writing to. You don't know if it's a man or a woman. You don't even have idea of the name. You understand? So that's mostly the major difference. If not, semi-formal and formal, you're sounding formal. You're sounding as formal as possible. Okay. Then another thing you have to know about starting the letter appropriately is open an informal letter with a general friendly paragraph. Yes, in the informal letter you can be friendly. Okay. Acknowledge your friendship first before explaining the reason for your letter. In fact, the first paragraph could include just friendly small talk unrelated to the reason for your writing. So you know this is informal letter. You're meant to be writing to someone someone you know very well, someone you know his name, you use his name, you're close to. So you have to give your examiner the impression that, yes, I understand this letter you're asking me to write. I understand it's informal letter, and I have to show you that I understand because this is my friend. And if I'm writing to my friend, I'm supposed to be friendly to my friend. So I'm going to show the examiner that I perfectly understand the task that they've given me to write, which is by showing that you're friendly to this person. Tola, how are you? How are the family? The letter you wrote to me last time, I received it, but I didn't know what happened. I couldn't reply you on time. Try to be friendly first. Okay, that shows the examiner that, yes, you understand this letter, you understand this is your friend, and you're actually being friendly. Okay, so okay, let's look at this example. Dear Susan, of course, you know this person's name. That's what you call her. Your friend. I've not seen your friend. I don't think your friend, even if he's married, you call your friend and be saying, "Dear Mrs. Susan." No, that now sounds like you're trying to be, you understand, formal, semi-formal kind of. So at least you say, "Susan, how far? What's up?" That's how you talk to your friend, Abri. So you address your friend mostly with the name. Most times there is no salutation involved. Once you're putting salutation, you're not. It suggests that you're not that free with that person. If I'm talking to you now, we are close friends. I'm saying, "Yeah, Mr. John." I would. It's that once somebody hear me saying Mr. John, they already know that this person is not so close to how. You understand that salutation, that title alone shows that I hold this person in one esteem, and I'm not really that free to be flowing. If I can't call you by your name, then I might not be free to say certain things to you, and that makes it a semi-formal letter. So for me to show you that, yes, I am so free with this person, I'm going to start off by calling the name that I call you. If I call you John, I'm going to say, "Dear John." Okay, so look at how this letter started. He said, "I hope you and your family are all well." So here you can put exclamation mark. You see that? I was so it was wonderful to spend time with you last month. It felt great to catch up with you and Bob. So you can say to introduce someone, because yes, you and your friend know who you're talking to, you know what you're talking about, you know who the Bob is. Most times you can frame all these things. Yes, it's allowed. Just try to sound as informal as possible. Okay, so in fact, okay, he said, "It felt great to catch up with you and Bob, get to know your children and have fun together after so long." So probably it's suggesting that you've met, you understand, that kind of scenario. Then you have always been dear friends of mine, and always will be. You now in this context is talking about, of course, your friends Susan and Bob. Okay, so you have always been dear friends of mine and always will be. Anyway, the reason now, you see, the first paragraph was more like a salutation, was more like getting friendly with this person. Okay, so now the second paragraph is now where you can go straight to what you're writing about. Okay, and how did they do that? They say, anyway, comma. So whenever you're using linkers like this, remember your comma. Anyway, the reason I'm writing is that I have some good news. Good news. Now you can also use colon here. Okay, I'm getting married in September. So you can go ahead and write what you want to write. Okay, so I hope this is clear about how you have to start, because starting your letter appropriately goes a long way to giving a good impression about you and fetching you a good score. So please, if possible, you can take a screenshot. If possible, you can just be jotting out something as you are going through all this, so that by the time you start practicing, you're already used to, you know what you're expected to start with. So by the time, remember, you're expected to be positive, you're expected to prepare, and then you're expected to practice. So when you're practicing, you need to put all this preparation into use so that you get used to it. So by the time you're doing it in exam hall, of course, you practice formal letter, informal letter, semi-formal letter. You know how to start all these things. All right, let's go ahead. So learn and use standard writing phrases. Okay, so in English letter writing, we use a number of standard expressions and phrases. These not only save time and effort, but also make it easier for the reader to understand our meaning. You can add on the specific information you wish to communicate to these standard phrases. So the list of useful phrases are below. Now, we've talked about a lot of using cohesive devices. We've talked about cohesive devices. Is something as discourse makers, is it something as a linking words, it's something as linkers. So whichever one you know it as. So you have to use all these things. They are known as standard expression. What they do is they give an idea to whoever that is reading. They make it easier for the person to understand. Let's look at this discourse maker that was used here. Okay, so here discourse maker used here is this. Anyway is telling whoever that is reading, once I see anyway, I know that yes, he's trying to say something different. Okay, it's trying to give me another thing that is different from what we've been saying. So that is example of a discourse maker. We have other things like in addition, also therefore, so you understand. So there are lots of them. Moreover, there are a lot of them. You'll be getting to know more of these as we progress. Then another thing is spell commonly used words correctly. So please, this is the opportunity you have to use to understand all these things. So definitely you'll be writing a letter of request. It could be a letter of apology. It could be a letter of some people don't know how to write apology. I'm sure if I say everybody spell apology and drop, you see a lot of Z and S and double S and double Y, and you'll be seeing a lot of double P. You see a lot of different spelling of apology. Okay, so this is the time you have. You can't start cracking your head. How is apology written in the exam hall? No, this is the opportunity. Get used, and by the time you're practicing, you'll be knowing that so the way I actually spell my sincere is different. You might be reading these things in the book, but because your brain, you are not teaching your brain to learn the correct spelling of this, your brain will still stick to that way it spells it for you. So by the time you're writing, you still write the different ways. So people don't know the difference between advice CE and advice SE. They don't know when to use this. So by the time, if you don't start writing, by the time you go to exam hall and they are telling you to write a letter to advice, and it's a letter of advice. So how do you write your advice? You'll be a letter of you start cracking your head. Is it CE? Is it SE? Is it CE? You understand? So this is time that you have to practice. And by the time you're practicing, you will note the difference between all these things, because mostly these things are things that you'll be seeing as you progress. This is the things that you'll be seeing. Oh, my battery is about to shut down. God. Please off the television. I need to charge. Okay, so I'll be sharing here with you people. People should not do noise. Okay, so you can take him to the room, to the kitchen, and you don't disturb me. Okay, sorry for that. I had to change my location so I can be charging as we also discussed. So, like I was saying, this is time you have to get used to all those spellings. One of the things you are likely to use in your exam days are things like sincerely, faithfully, in connection with, apologize, and so on. So this is an easy way to boost your score. By the time you're already used to, the correct spelling of these words, it's going to be easier for you by the time you start writing in your exam hall. Then divide your letter into paragraphs. Please, paragraphing is very important, and each paragraph should have a specific point it has to give out. This point is about you apologizing, this one is about you. So easier way for you to even help yourself is you have prompts. So this prompt, you expected to talk about each prompt. Now, when I say prompt, I'm talking about bullet points. Each bullet point, you expected to talk about it in a different paragraph. So you have to use paragraph to organize your work. Remember that you're being checked. One of the things you're marking is the structure for you to be able to logically organize your work. And if you jump back into the same place you're talking about, I'm writing to apologize for mistakenly splashing water on you the other day, it was because of this. Also, I want to give you letter that is from, no, you can't be jump packing. Write one, you have apologized in this paragraph. Letter in the other paragraph, you want to talk about letter that you want to write about it there. So let your letter be organized. Okay, so usually you need 4 paragraphs: introduction, problem or situation. So there's always something that's stated that you need to do most times, and then the solution or the action you want to take, and then a conclusion most times. Okay, but there are some scenarios that you might exceed this. Usually in informal letter that you might need to put you maybe, if you decide to dedicate the first paragraph to salutation, just getting along with your friend, which most times, of course, I will always advise you to do that. Okay, make sure to signal the start of new paragraph in one of the ways. So yes, another way you can help yourself is always to signal. Let us know when you're starting a new paragraph. So you can do that by indenting. Indenting, do not leave a line space between paragraphs. Start writing a little to the right of the left margin, okay? So you move your hand a little inside. And that way is keeping a line. You can leave a line space between paragraphs. Start writing directly from the left margin. Okay, so let me just show you a little scenario of what I mean here. So now this thing, now let me say this is my margin. Okay, let me use this. Let me say this is my margin. My line is not straight enough. Trying again. Let me say, oh, so bad. Okay, last one. Oh, okay, we'll manage this. So let's say this is my book. Okay, this is my book. And then this is the middle of the book. And then I'm supposed to write a letter. So if I'm using a first pattern, I'm going to, by the time now I've done my dear, and then I want to start the first paragraph. So by the time I start my first paragraph, I'm starting my first paragraph here, and I've written it so that I left a space, and then subsequently I'm not starting up from the inside. Maybe it's not clear enough. Okay, let me do that again. So I'm using the first method. I'm doing indenting. I start up here, and then subsequently I'm now writing. This is my first paragraph. By the time I'm starting a second paragraph, I start again, put my hand a little inside, and then I write and write and write. Then third paragraph, I still do the same thing. So anybody that looks at my work will know that this is my first paragraph. This is my second paragraph. This is my third paragraph. Okay. So another way you can actually show that another way you can actually do this is the skip a line method. So the skip a line method, let's say this is my textbook, then this is the middle of the book. Of course, it's always advised that you do your practice with a book that have lines. Okay, so now if I want to start my paragraph, of course, these are all I can start by writing from here. By the time I'm done writing, with this particular paragraph. I will now skip this line and then start again from here to start writing again. By the time I'm done with this paragraph, I will skip this line and start again. So this is another way. And this second one is actually the one I prefer because it makes your work look very neat, okay? The indenting pattern usually leaves your work a little so full, and this one leaves it a little apart. So I usually prefer the second one. You can still do the same thing for your AC. Then use clear handwriting, please, for the sake of your this Ielts. Try to work on your writing. If you know that your C looks like M, please try to start making it look better, okay? Because you wouldn't be there to argue with your examiner by the time they are marking it that this is C, it's not M. Please don't mark me wrong. No, because by the time they struggle to see what you're writing, one of the things that you're being scored is if it's not clear enough, your legibility. So another thing is use that I've said the good writer use good writing. Make sure your writing is neat and legible so your words can be read easily. And do not appear to have spelling mistakes. Get feedback from a teacher on your writing. So by the time you do your work and you drop it on the group, that's why it's better on the group. So please let us contribute. So by the time someone drops a work and then you're saying, I do not see this M very well, or you call this person's attention. This your M looks like V. Let the person know. Okay. Pay special attention to how you form and connect letters such as E, I, U, N, R, and W. Most times, because you're writing fast, your words are connected. So by the time you're connecting maybe I and N, is now looking like a W, or it's looking like capital N. And then when they look at the point where maybe it's in middle of a word, it now looks like the word is incorrect because you're writing two things together. So try to know how you join your word and do your fast handwriting. Try to always make it to be as neat and as legible as possible. Then write at least 150 words. Practice writing letter till you know what 150 words feels like and look like. You will lose mark if you write less. So like I said, instructions are things you have to take seriously. And one of the instructions there is that you should write not less than 150 words. So make sure that you always write 150 words. By the time you keep practicing, you'll be used to it. You will know by the time you write and you look at your work, you know that this is definitely up to 150 words. But if you're someone that you're still starting, you can do some counting sometimes. Just count the first full line. The first full line, maybe if it's 8 in a line, then count how many rows you have and then multiply it. You're definitely going to get a rough estimate of how many words you've written. Okay. So right, like okay, I said the right one at least 150 words. Then include all 3 bullet points. If you exclude even one of the points given to you in the question prompt, you will get a lower grade. So answer all the prompts. In your letter, explain the problem, describe why it disturbs you, suggest a solution. Finish in time. The IELTS general task, one letter is what about 30% of your writing score. So make sure you complete the whole letter. Though you have to make up a story to explain the situation. Keep it simple so you don't run out of time. Make sure to keep 40 minutes to complete essay in task 2, which is worth much more in terms of points. Most times I would advise you to do your task 2 first before you do task 1. Then the next thing is read model letters, but don't memorize them. Read Instead, read the letter to get an idea of the overall flow and to pick up new vocabularies and expressions. Understand the scoring criteria, very important. Learn how to get a high score by knowing what examiners look for and how they award or deduct marks. Task achievement is one of the first things. Do everything you're asked to do. Give a full developed response, include or cover all the necessary points. Write 150 words. Okay, so in task response, you see what you're expected to do. Then in coherence and cohesion, in coherence, present ideas logically, use structured paragraphs. Then cohesion, write so points stick together, make sense and convey your message. Write standard expressions and transition words. Lexical resource, use a wide range of vocabulary naturally. Write and fluently use correct spellings. Choose the right words. Use the correct form of words such as verbs, nouns, etc. Grammatical range and accuracy, use a wide range of grammar structure. Include different kinds of sentences like simple, compact, complex. Use effective punctuation. Use correct capitalization. Then lastly, number 14, practice writing letters regularly and get them checked by us. Not every English teacher understands the demand of this particular exam, so do well to bring it and we'll definitely help you to go through it. Okay, so you know that essay writing is approximately 20 minutes that you expect to use. If you can use less, then it's fine. So how do you start if it's a letter that is asking you to apologize? Okay, what are some of the expressions that most of the expressions that you'll be used to complete your IELTS writing task 2 within 20 minutes? Learn how to spell correct phrases. Okay, we said that choose the correct level of formality based on your question prompt by using these phrases. Okay, so for apologizing, you can say, please accept my sincere apology for. You can say, I'm sorry for. Asking for help, you can say, I would be grateful if you could. I would remember contractions are not needed in if it's a formal letter, please, contractions are not needed in formal letter. Then asking for information, I am writing to inquire about, I'm writing to find out about, I would like to know about. Closing, I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to meeting you. Complaining, I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with. I am writing to express my annoyance with. I'm not happy with. Say. Then expressing satisfaction, I was delighted to learn that. I was thrilled to hear that. I was very glad to hear that. Okay. Expressing concern, I'm writing to express my concern about. I'm very sorry to learn that. I'm really sorry to learn that. Giving bad news, I regret to advise you that. I regret to inform you that. I'm sorry to tell you. When you're saying good news, you can use expressions like, I'm pleased to advise you that. I'm delighted to, you understand. Giving reasons, this is due to, this is a result of. Making suggestion, perhaps it will be useful to, thanking, I am extremely grateful for. So learn all these expressions is going to help you to start up your essay. So let's look at sample questions. For formal, you are looking for a full-time job. Write a letter to an employment agency. In your letter now, look at those prompts. The first thing is say, introduce yourself. Second prompt say, explain what sort of job you would like. Third prompt says, say what experience and skills you have. So you see, You're not going to be writing something outside what you are asked to write. So these are what will be contained in your letter. Even though you're going to make it up, you can decide to make up your introduction of who you are. You can decide to make up the sort of job you want. You can decide to make up all these things. But please know that it is these things that you will write. Okay? Then begin your letter, of course, for formal is dear sir or madam. You should write at least 150 words. You should spend about 20 seconds on this task. So this is an example of formal letter. This is an example of formal letter. Then the next type of letter is semi-formal letter. Now, how does semi-formal letters look like? He said you are going to take a short holiday in Singapore and you want to rent a holiday apartment while you are there. Write to a tourist information officer. In your letter, explain what you need. Say when you plan to be there. Ask for information about prices. So begin your letter by saying, dear Mr. or Mrs. Okay? So no longer sir or ma, please. Oh, dear Mr. John, dear Mr. You, at least once it's semi-formal, you should know who your tourist information officer is. Okay. So begin your letter like that. So you should write at least 150 words. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. Then informal letter on its own, you stayed, an example of informal letter says, you stay at your friend's house when you attended a conference in Australia. Unfortunately, you left a large envelope with some important documents in your room. Write a letter to your friend. In the letter, thank your friend for the stay. Describe where you left the envelope. Ask him or her to return it to your post. Begin your letter with dear John, dear, you understand, it's the same 150 words and you have to spend at least 20 seconds. So let's look at a letter, an example, and see where we featured all that we've been teaching you. So this is an example of informal letter, and it says, last month you had a holiday overseas where you stayed with some friends. They have just sent you some photos of your holiday. Write a letter to your friend. In your letter, thank them for the photos and for the holiday. Explain why you didn't write earlier. Invite them to come and stay with you. Write at least 150 words. You don't need to write any addresses. I've said that. Begin your letter as follows. Dear. So, dear Ajay and Swanita, now I want you to always understand your letter. They said write thank them. So that should tell you that you're writing to two, at least it's plural. So you're not writing to one person. So that's why you have to read your letter to understand. Take every information. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, what type of letter am I writing? Okay, it's formal letter. Oh, so who am I writing to? You now read, okay, who did they say you should write? Say last month you had the holiday overseas where you stay with some friends. Okay, you stay talking about some friends. Okay, going ahead, say they have just sent you some photos of your holiday. So they sent a photo. Okay, so it's not saying about some one person. Go ahead and say and write. They said write a letter to your friends. So they are actually asking you to write a letter to your friends, not friend. So this makes it plural. So by the time you're writing, you're expected to write two people at least. I'm not going to, you can write more than two people, but I think two people is enough so that it doesn't look somehow. Okay. Like two people is okay, as long as two is plural, three is plural. But instead of writing dear J, Swanita, Favor, Kiniko, it's better you just write dear Ajay and Swanita. You can say dear Ajay, Favor, and Swanita if you feel like making it three. But I think two is okay because two is plural and that is just perfect. So the first prompt says, thank them for the photos and for the holiday. Now look at what the first prompt here says. Say, thanks so much for your kind letter with the lovely photos of my holiday in Mumbai. Sorry for the delay in replying. But your package arrived as I was about to leave town on a business trip. I've just returned to Toronto today. So you see, Yes, he actually met the first prompt. He actually talked about the first prompt in the first paragraph and still went ahead to be quite friendly with these people, telling us, yes, acknowledging the holiday. You see, the statement said you just had a holiday. So this letter acknowledged the holiday. Oh, we have been, it shows that, yes, you have been with these people, you understand? So that is it. So take account all these things, account of all these things. Now, the second one say, explain why you didn't write earlier. Say, looking at the photo brings back so many happy memories of the time we spent together and wonderful hospitality you extended to me. I felt completely pampered by both of you. You surrounded me with warm friends, tasty food. Okay, I think this is more like okay, let's go ahead and see how they arrived as the second prompt. So he said, surrounded me with warm friends, tasty food, amazing sights, great shopping, unregrettable cultural events, and laughter-filled evenings. I would have been lost without you. I can't thank you enough. This good memory gave me idea. I know you've always wanted me to visit Canada. You don't. Okay. I know you've always wanted me to visit Canada. Why don't you plan a holiday and stay with me this summer? The weather is great at the time of the year, and I could take. Okay, so okay, so sorry for the delay in replying. Is actually in the first paragraph. So inviting them now is what we are talking about. You said, why don't you plan a holiday and stay with me this summer? The weather is great at that time of the year, and I could take 2 weeks off from work. Aside from seeing Toronto, we could drive to Niagara Falls, Thousand Islands, Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec City. I would be thrilled if you could make it. Thank you both again for the beautiful holiday and the photos, which are already up on my wall. Now, I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. Now, all these contractions are only allowed in informal place. All these contractions, like can see this, they are only allowed in informal letter. Okay, you can use this in formal letter or semi-formal letter. So that is it about IELTS writing task 1. Okay, so you're going to practice as much as possible, and then we'll see where you got it wrong or where you're doing right. So if you have question, let me know you have a question, and let me know you have a question. Then I will be concluding our writing. For those that have been doing writing all this while, we're going to be concluding our writing today. So the group will still be doing, on the general group, we'll still be doing writing the way we are doing it. We'll be doing, I think today should be another type of writing. So you have to make do with that. And we have to move to the next module from next week. So that's should be speaking from next week. So we have to move to speaking next week. So by the time we are done with speaking, then we go to the next module. So we cover everything on time. So if you have questions, do let me know. And okay. So you can unmute yourself for a question. Is the only letter writing that is on tax 1? Yes, tax 1, general writing, tax 1 is only letter. It could be a formal letter, it could be semi-formal letter, it could be informal letter. As long as it's general module, tax 1, it is going to be a letter. It's only a letter that you'll be writing. Is there any other question? If you have question, you can unmute yourself. I've given that permission. You can click on you. Yes, hello.
Please, I want to know. He said the write-up should be 150 words. Please, I want
Yeah.
you to throw more light on that 150 left. It's full stop, comma, all
No,
those
those things are
punctuation
not words.
marks.
Those
Are
things
they
are
words?
those things are not words. They are punctuation.
Okay.
They are not words.
Oh,
Things that are
okay.
counted as words are things like a, maybe a dog. A dog is two words. A dog.
Okay.
I is word. Those things are words. As long as you put two or one or two alphabets together to make a meaning, or maybe it's one alphabet that have a meaning, then it's a word. But
Okay.
punctuations are not part of words. And please, when you're
Okay.
counting your, do exclude your dear sir or ma, and exclude your the salutation. I mean the dear sir or ma and the ending part. That's the starting and the ending. So it should be things that you've written in the paragraph that you have to count. The
Okay.
words you've written in the paragraph are things that you should count.
Okay. No problem.
So are we
But
ready to practice? Is there
hello?
any other question? Yeah. Okay,
Hello?
so there is a question. Yeah, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I want to see find out the other words. Must it be accurately 150? Is
It shouldn't
yours
be less.
sincerely included?
It shouldn't. You see, I didn't get that. You say what?
Is yours sincerely the closing remark? Is it included?
Oh, no. I said exclude your dear sir or ma, and then
Um,
the ending, which is yours
okay,
sincere. Just
okay,
what you've written
okay,
in the paragraph.
okay,
And
okay.
it's
Thank
not
you.
that it mustn't be approximately 150. You can write more. I will actually advise you to write maybe 155 or 160 at most, but don't exceed 160. Don't write more than
Okay,
160, because whether you write 200, 300, it's not going to give you more mark. The more you write, the
okay,
more you are going to make some mistakes that you don't want to make. So, but
okay.
you can write up to 155 or 160, but don't exceed 160, please.
No
But
problem.
don't write less than 150. If you write less than 150, you will be losing a mark for writing less than
Okay,
150. Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, in writing task one, is
Yes.
it going to be multiple question where we have the opportunity to pick the one we write? Like maybe it's going to be like 3 questions in task one, maybe one will be formal, informal, semi-formal, and we can pick between the 3, or we're going to write the 3 in task one.
Well, yes, I understand you. Fortunately, you just expect to meet anything because you are not going to make a choice.
Okay.
You might go there and then the letter that you will be writing is semi-formal and it's just that one. So you're not going to be asked to choose whether you want this or no. No, you're not going to get that opportunity. So you just have to practice every type of letter. You could meet semi-formal, you could meet formal, you can meet informal.
Okay.
Anyone you meet, that's the one you will be writing.
Okay, understood. And it applies to other questions.
Yes, that applies to other questions. Even in your any all the modules, what you meet there, that's what you're going to write. Speaking, if they decide to ask you this, and that's what they're going to ask you. So it's just whatever you go, you meet. You might be lucky you meet what you love. You can be lucky you meet something that you are not even expecting. But with this practice, once you're practicing these things, definitely you're going to meet something you will beat. Okay, you're going to meet something that you're pretty used to. So the kind of questions I do send, I make sure that there are things that have been asked before, and the new ways they're asking questions, the old way they've been asking questions. So you get used to those things. And then by the time you meet them, of course, you are definitely not going to be so surprised.
Okay, I have another question regarding some of those the documents that were posted on the Telegram.
Okay.
Yes. I think like what we're doing today, because I think you have the document yourself, but like what we're doing today now, is it something that is already on the Telegram that, after today, after this training, we can just go back there to read more about it? Is it there?
Okay, Telegram have it's more like a drive where all documents are. So once you go to Telegram, you'll be seeing it's more like you're the one to choose what you want to go through. So if you want to read about writing, you can take textbook about writing. So all those textbooks are all there. Even recorded voice on all those things are all there. So you can actually go and record and listen to more so and get more information. Okay. So it's more like a self-paced. If you want to do self-paced along with this, you want to be going through all those things. There is a recorded tutorial, there is a video tutorial, there is textbooks, you understand, that can help you to learn more. But by the time we are done with this, if it's recorded, we don't always record all the time, but if it's recorded, we'll drop the link for you. So in case you want to come back to this particular tutorial and go through it again, then you have that library. I think I just have to also be dropping the recorded on the channel so that it's open to everybody. Yes, I think I'll also do that. Okay. Is there any other question? So my assignment, the last one, some people are still owing me assignments. Please try to see to your assignment, okay?
Madam,
thank
please,
you, everyone.
Hello?
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
I have a personal concern. After this meeting, please, I would like to call you if I'm permitted.
All right, fine then. Okay, no problem, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a good day, okay? I'll be dropping the assignment on the group and please attempt it. Try so hard to do your best, okay?
Hello?
Have a lovely.
Hello?
Yes, hello. Yes, hello.
If we drop assignments, how can we do it and post? Is it through WhatsApp, or we just attend it on our own?
Just get a book. Just get a book that have line, okay? And then write. Why I prepare you to write on the book, just like a look like a normal notebooks that have lines on it. Why I prefer you to write on that is because we also be taking note of your writing. That's especially if you're writing paper based. But if you're writing computer based, then you can just type it and send to me on the WhatsApp. But if you're writing paper based, that means you are expecting to use paper and write on pencil on that day. I mean, write paper on a book on that day. So just use a notebook, write the letter. When you're done writing the letter, snap it so that I can see it very well. Snap it so that it will be clear, all the words will be clear, and then post it on the WhatsApp group. If you don't want to post on the WhatsApp group, you can post to me directly. So I will use my hand and put it on the WhatsApp group. Because some people doesn't want people to know that I'm the one that wrote this. But if you don't want to, you can send to me. I will use my hand and send it on the group. If you can still send directly on the group and then we'll vet it for you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So if you still have questions, you can ask me on the group, okay? I'll definitely take your questions.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, after now, where is the class? After now, which day are we meeting again? So that I'll prepare to watch
That will be on Monday. That will be on Monday.
Monday by what time?
It will be communicated on the group.
Because Monday is a working day. So I have to be aware.
Most times it's usually in the evening time. So once I communicate the time,
Evening is okay. Evening is okay. Thank you.
You won't be chance with the time. You just let me know because
Okay.
see what to do about it.
No, evening is okay.
Okay, all right then.